Okay, I think more people will flood in, but let's get started. Welcome, everyone. I'm Rory. I'm an evangelist at Miro, but I previously worked in design and innovation consulting. So the topic we're talking about today is one I'm certainly very passionate about, and I will be very much partaking in the session. Before we get started, I just want to run through a couple of housekeeping issues that we have. So just so everyone's aware, this is a webinar, so we can't see your face or hear you, but we are recording. So just so you know, I love to see that the chat is already very active. Please continue to use the chat, and we're hoping to have time for a bit of Q&A at the end. So if you have questions, post them into the Q&A function. And this is going to be an interactive session, so we'll share the link and get ready to join the board. And thank you all for being here. So firstly, I would love to welcome John and Dana from Design Sprint Academy. John and Dana are both experts in helping business leaders solve complex problems and develop innovative solutions. So we are very grateful to have you both here today to kick off this webinar series. Thank you both for being here.
We're excited to be here.
Great. No, we have a very exciting hour in store for us. So John and Dana are from Design Sprint Academy. You may already be familiar with Miro, but if you're not, I'll do a quick introduction. So Miro, we're an infinite and intelligent canvas built to empower teams to build the next big thing. This has been our mission since we were founded 13 years ago. We recently celebrated our 13th birthday. And quite a lot has changed since we were launched in 2011. We started life as an online whiteboard, and we've evolved over the years through advancing visual collaboration in ways that bring teams together no matter where, through to our latest launch of the Intelligent Canvas just last month. Maybe some of you joined our keynote presentation for that. Oh yes, real-time board, that's taking us back. And yes, so the Intelligent Canvas launched last month. Miro is still very much being a playground for innovation, but now boosted by new AI capabilities, powerful workflows, interactive experiences, and scalable templates. Many of those live in the Miroverse, and the templates that we go through today we'll share at the end. And John and Dana at Design Sprint Academy have some awesome templates that I'd really encourage you all to check out after this session. So of course, our aim, our mission is to enable teams, empower teams to build the next big thing. And our aim is really to provide teams with the canvas and the tools for their innovation journey. So a collaborative and a creative space to understand and frame problems, generate ideas, build prototypes, and scale solutions that generate real value. So for us, innovation belongs on the canvas. But of course, it starts with problems. Y Combinator, the famous startup accelerator, has funded and accelerated household name businesses like Airbnb, Dropbox, DoorDash. And I read that they encourage their entrepreneurs to solve what they call hair on fire problems, which is a great phrase. But by that, they mean a well-known urgent issue that people prioritize above all else. If your hair's on fire, you're going to focus on solving that before you think about what you're having for dinner tonight. But often when it comes to problems and innovation in general, it's very tempting to jump to solutions and thinking about building solutions without really taking the time to understand the problem at hand, or the hair on fire problem. And so another famous innovator, Albert Einstein, you've probably heard this quote a million times before, but he's credited with saying, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and then 5 minutes thinking about the solution. The Miro AI didn't do a bad job of generating this image of Albert Einstein with hair on fire, although he is probably in need of some serious medical attention. Well, the good news is one of our Miro customers, WebMD, the leading online resource for healthcare information, trusted by doctors and patients alike, may be able to help him. The team at WebMD are using Miro to run their continuous discovery process, so capturing insights from patients and doctors to identify problems and make continuous improvements to their Medscape app. So that's just one example of a Miro customer thinking about problems and customer problems with Miro. But enough from me. Let's get into the session today. We've got a lot to look forward to. I'm going to hand over to John, and he is going to talk us through the 4U framework. And then we are going to dive into some problems and a case study and invite you onto the board to join us. So I think you can see this. If you use Miro in presentation mode, there is a nice new feature where you can hand over the presentation. So I'm going to hand off to John to take it away.
Yes.
There you go.
All right. It says I'm presenting, so I guess I'm presenting now. Good. Thank you for the intro, Rory. I want to introduce now the 4U framework, right? And what is the 4U framework? During the intro, Rory mentioned how we help organizations solve complex problems, but in order to be able to solve those problems, one must find them. So that's why at Design Sprint Academy, we're always looking for tools, methods, and frameworks that we can use to help teams identify the right problems to work on. And 4U is one such framework that we have discovered through Harvard Innovation Labs and entrepreneur Michael Skop of _VC. And they're using it to help their businesses, their startups assess problems and make sure that they're focusing on the right problems to solve. So 4U, it stands for Unworkable, Unavoidable, Urgent, and Underserved. And then I'm going to take you through how to use this framework. This framework is very good at assessing and evaluating a problem, and it could be a fuzzy problem, something in a very incipient form. It doesn't even need to be a problem. It could be an idea, an opportunity, sometimes even a solution you want to assess. And you want to look at it through these 4 dimensions in order to decide, yes, this is worthwhile, I'm going to work on it, or no, it's not worth my time, my resources, so we're not going to work on it. So the 4 dimensions are unworkable, urgent, unavoidable, and underserved. And now I'm going to take you through all of them and also give you a couple of examples so you can see what this is about. The first one is unworkable. And basically unworkable speaks about how severe a problem is, how serious it is, right? Unworkable problems are problems that don't have a solution, or even if they have a solution that users or customers can use, the solution is not practical or is not easily accessible. It might be too expensive for customers, so they can't really use it, which makes the whole situation unworkable. In order to assess whether a problem is unworkable, you should ask yourself these questions. Are current solutions simply not working? Why? What's the root cause of the problem, right? Like you're trying to investigate this as well. Also, unworkable problems have huge consequences if you don't do anything, right? So that's why you need to ask yourself, okay, if we don't do anything about this problem, what happens? Like if you say nothing happens, then probably the problem is not so unworkable. But like if serious things happen if you do nothing, then maybe your problem is quite unworkable and you need to give it some attention. So that's the first dimension. The next dimension the example. I forgot about the example. An example of an unworkable problem. Well, initially it wasn't an unworkable situation, but as you know, Netflix initially operated as a DVD rental service, right? And shipping the DVDs over email. In time, though, the problem became unworkable because shipping costs increased. The more DVDs they would send, the more delays there were in deliveries. The stock became limited just because it had the constraints of physical stock. So all of this led to increased operational costs, which made the situation unworkable, not to mention the growing emergence of digital streaming. So that's how they managed to get out of this unworkable context, and the solution was the online streaming model that we know today. So that's the unworkable bit. The next one is unavoidable. This is quite straightforward, and basically it tells us whether we can evade or not the problem. There are like unavoidable problems we all have to face in our lives. For example, taxes, right? Aging, we all age. Education, I would say that's unavoidable as well, right? Basically this tells us like, should we absolutely address this problem or not? This is one of the questions. Sometimes unavoidable problems are generated by regulations. So that's why we can ask ourselves what need or requirement can be ignored. What do we need to comply to, right? Like, so this could be some of the questions. And the last one is, can we just ignore it? You know, can we do that? So these would be some of the questions that you can ask in order to assess how unavoidable a problem is. And to give an example about this, nowadays we have governments, government policies. They're passing all sorts of policies to protect the environment, to fight climate change. So in this sort of context, car manufacturers, which obviously most of them are on traditional combustion engines, they need to comply to these new regulations, right? Not only that, but there is increasing environmental concerns. There is pressure from consumers who are more environmentally conscious. A big part of them is this trend about being eco-friendly and moving towards eco-friendly transportation. So the problem is becoming unavoidable for car manufacturers. They can't just simply ignore it. And in the case of General Motors, of course, others as well, what they're doing, they're phasing out petrol and diesel cars, and they're coming up with ranges of EV vehicles. Good. So we've covered two of them, unworkable and unavoidable. If you do have questions, feel free to write them in the QA section. I will try to address as many as I can at the end of this session. Moving on to the next one, urgent. This tells us like how urgent a problem is. And it's an important dimension because if a problem is not urgent for your customers, they're not going to seek a solution. Also, if the problem is not on the top list of priorities for your stakeholders, they're not going to invest time, resources for the business to create solutions, right? Also, it's very important to note that a problem can be urgent relative to other needs. For example, finding a job. This is not an urgent problem unless you just got laid off or you don't have a job and you need a job, right? Getting vaccinated. Usually this is not an urgent problem unless maybe there is a pandemic coming and then it's becoming quite urgent to get a vaccine. Questions to assess how urgent the problem is this our customers' top priority? What makes it urgent? How do we know it's urgent? And then does it align with our organizational agenda priorities? And an example about this, speaking of the pandemic, right? During COVID-19, right? Organizations worldwide suddenly had to transition to remote work. I know that because I was in that situation. For a living, we're running workshops. We fly to our clients or they fly to us. So our business just hit a wall in 2020, like we couldn't do anything. So it became very urgent to find a new way to collaborate. And that's what Miro did. Miro capitalized on an urgent problem and provided a solution for people finding it. So that's a perfect example of an urgent problem and then a good solution to it. All right, we're making good progress here. And the last one is underserved, right? Like if you're thinking about solving a problem, but what if you have a ton of competitors already with solution already in the market? Maybe yours is going to be one of the thousands, right? Or hundreds of other competing solutions. So here with the underserved, what you want to do is see if the market is underserved. Maybe there are like gaps in the solutions that other competitors have. Maybe you find your own niche. So questions to ask here is what competitors have here, Are current solutions they're offering maybe not working or not covering everything? Maybe there are like gaps in their solutions. So that's how you assess whether a problem is underserved or not. To give an example here, it's mobile messaging, right? It was largely dominated by SMS. And why was this underserved? Because SMS had high costs if you were to send messages internationally. There was no cross-platform functionality with like the different operating systems on smartphone. And then it lacked features like group messaging or media sharing. Overall, it had a very limited functionality. So WhatsApp entered in this underserved market, and they came up with the free internet-based messaging app that a lot of us are using today. Good, so these are like the 4 U's with like a couple of questions for you to assess each dimension. And then I'm going to tell you later how to actually do it, and you're also going to try it. And now I want to give you a counter example, like what happens if you don't consider these questions before you're starting to work on solutions for your problem. And this is a classic example is Juicero. Maybe many of you might already be familiar with this, but this startup was launched in 2016. And believe it or not, it raised more than 100 millions from top venture firms. And like all there is, it's this juicing machine that's squeezing packs of pre-cut fruits and vegetables. So this is the whole business, right? Like this is the whole concept. It's not rocket science.
But it's only a tap of a button. So
yeah, it's only a touch of a button if you have the packs. Maybe write in the chat if you think this was a big success or not, or like if you know about this this thing. Anyway, let me take the problem they thought they were solving and put it to the 4U lens. So let's see what comes out of it. Right, so unworkable, unavoidable, urgent, and underserved. Good. So unworkable. Unworkable, as we said, it's about like how difficult, how serious the problem is. And they said like cutting fruits and cleaning is difficult with traditional methods. Yes, it could be, especially if you're a little bit lazy, you know, like could be that. But in reality, cutting and cleaning is not that unworkable. All of us can do it fairly easy. They also said people need convenience, right? Like you need this high-tech machine with like just pressing a button and then it's going to make juice for you, because otherwise you can't make juice, which makes the whole thing unworkable. In fact, there was a video released by Bloomberg, and they got this the pack of juice, and they managed to squeeze it by hand. So it wasn't that difficult in the end. So the problem is not really unworkable. Now let's see how unavoidable it is. And they say to maintain a healthy diet, people need to regularly purchase fresh fruits and vegetables. That's true, you know, and if we all want to be healthy, then we can't avoid consuming fresh fruits and vegetables for the most of it. Of course, there are many options, right? Like you can order online, there's subscriptions, you can go to the farmer's market. So you have a lot of options here. And also they said, the mess is unavoidable, right? Like once you're cutting and juicing fruits, you're creating a mess all over your kitchen, which is annoying, right? But then again, you have options. You can have pre-cut produce, like it's readily available everywhere. You can buy already squeezed juice. So I would say yes, in a way, the problem is unavoidable, but it can also be avoided. Now, how urgent it is. Remember, it's the touch of a button. It makes a juice instantly. So they said maybe busy professionals, for them, like it could be like rushing to a meeting. They might have an urgent need for a juice, right? They don't have the time to go through this whole process of making the juice. So maybe for them, this is urgent. But I think everyone can just put juicing aside for a little bit if they really have something to want to do. So it's very hard for me to imagine at which point in my life I had an urgent juicing problem.
It's relative to other needs.
Yes.
So during a day, like depending on your other urgencies, how well does this
But like
scale?
we had this webinar right now, so I didn't feel the need to get an urgent juice. I could postpone it, even if I had the machine. So yes. And then finally, how underserved this problem is, and actually, if you're looking at it, there is market saturation. So there's like plenty of affordable, effective juicing options. So obviously, the problem was not underserved. On the contrary. And here's another aspect. The price of the machine was $400, which was very expensive. And actually, it made Juicero less accessible, which turned the situation as unworkable because many customers did not have access to the solution just because of the high price. In the end, it was a big flop, right? And investors lost all their money in it. Good. So I hope this example and counterexamples give you an idea about the 4U framework and what it is. I want to talk a little bit about when to use the 4U. And we use the 4U in our work. We're using at the beginning of the discovery process at a strategic level. In these instances, one, when we're creating new value propositions for product and services, it might be at the very beginning when there is just the idea, hey, let's build this or let's do that, like where I have an idea of whatever it is. We're using the 4U framework with stakeholders to come up with all of our product or service hypotheses, making sure that we have the team aligned. Yes, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. And then, of course, we're going to go through the rest of the go-to-market process, identifying the target segments, doing better problem definition with problem framing, and then validating solutions with design sprints before moving into business cases and actually building it. But like what I want to highlight is it's at the very beginning of your process, and it's quite at a strategic level.
Especially when you're comparing ideas to each other or solutions to each other, it's just stages the conversation in a much simpler way, and stakeholders can align because they can look at the same criteria through different lenses.
Good. So that's one. The other one is when you're building your product roadmap. 4U is a very good framework here to evaluate multiple problems you want to solve with your product for your users. And then you can say, okay, let's see what's urgent. Let's see what's maybe underserved. We can postpone that because there's lots of other options. So you can evaluate like the different things you want to address in your product roadmap using this 4U framework. Very, very good. And then the last one, we're using it in our work with our customers for innovation challenges and hackathons inside organizations. Because also there we need to pick or we need to help our teams pick multiple challenges to work on during these events. So the 4U gives us like a very easy to use and quick to deploy framework to make sure that the challenges that we select are relevant, are aligned with what the business wants, and also we're solving some meaningful problems for users. So this would be the instances in which we're using the 4U framework. But how it works, right? The 4U framework is not something that you use by yourself. Of course, you can always do an assessment of the problem using 4U by yourself, but like this works really well when you're doing it with your key stakeholders in whichever scenario you're in. Like as I was mentioning, we're using it for innovation hackathons, for new value propositions, and for building product roadmaps. So you need to identify who are the key stakeholders that you have to work with in this context. Stakeholders, just a very brief definition, anyone who has an interest or involvement in the project. And typically they are internal stakeholders, but they could also be investors and partners, suppliers, whatever. It's also very, what makes the stakeholder also is they have power and interest around your project. Power, meaning the ability to influence the project outcomes regardless of what other might do. And interest, as the name says, something that they're affected by or they have enthusiasm about or they're very interested in, right? So this is important. Key stakeholders are people who have both power, they can influence, and interest in the project. They want to see it done. So what are you doing? Key stakeholders, these are like some examples in any companies that does product development, right? You'd have the CTO, CPO, IT, PMs, POs, and then business stakeholders like finance, sales, marketing, customer success, so on and so forth. This would be some typical examples of stakeholders. So how do you do it? Like we're using for you in a workshop setup. So we're looking first, we're doing the stakeholder mapping and we see, okay, who do we need in this workshop and invite them to this workshop. So we identify them. We're sharing with them or they bring forward their ideas, problems, proposals that they want to work with. And then together in a workshop, we're evaluating these different problems. It could be one, could be many. Through the 4U framework. And we want to see, is this unworkable, unavoidable, urgent, and underserved? And then at the end of this workshop, what we get is a yes and no decision. Hey, we're moving forward with this, or no, we're not moving forward with this, or an action plan. I'm going to talk a little bit about that at the end of this webinar. Good. So that brings me to the end of the first part of the presentation. I know, I know I do. This is my agenda here. So today we said like you're going to practice this, right? So it's not only going to be a presentation, but actually you're going to work with a framework. So today you have to imagine you're a key stakeholder in a context that I will share with you, right? So you're going to play the role of a stakeholder, and then you're going to join a 4U session to decide whether you want to move forward or not with a specific problem that I'm going to present. And if you're already wondering, how am I going to decide on a problem that I don't know much about? Well, yes, that's exactly what you're going to do. Just like most key stakeholders, you're going to be asked to make decisions without having all the facts, without having specific data in front of you, without having done research, without knowing much about the problem or what's causing it, without customers' research, without support from other stakeholders, because as you could see, all of the other stakeholders are scattered across the world right now. So there is a high level of unknown. But the good news is, if I can call it good news, is this is how decisions are made in most of the organizations. And this is like what stakeholders do on a daily basis. There's research backing this up, that most of the stakeholders make decisions based on gut feeling and without having necessarily data or information in front of them. So you're going to be in the same situation. That's why this framework is so good, because next time you're going to be in a situation where you work with your stakeholders and they don't have all of the facts and you know they don't have all of the facts. This is something that you can use out of the bed. Good. So ready for a 4U workshop? I guess the answer is yes. I could see some emojis there. Okay.
People are already joining.
I like
the
that.
board.
People are joining the board.
Yes.
Okay, so I need to stop the presentation. Okay, and now.
And we're gonna do an icebreaker. So I
Yeah.
guess
Well done,
just to get used to the board itself.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask everyone to follow me over here. I know the Olympics are over, but yeah, we're still thinking about them. So why not invite you to color those Olympic rings however you see fit? You can write on the sticky note where you're coming from, your city, or maybe something interesting about your city. And let's make those rings pretty. It's a good opportunity for all of us to remember how to use Miro and like really put some color in there and try to go to all the rings. Oh, I love this movement. I see so many people on the board working really hard.
I'll take a selfie.
You take a selfie? Everyone is busy doing something.
I put my sticky.
Oh, let's see what we have here. It's raining. Where is raining? We have sun everywhere. Amsterdam, London, New York, Lausanne, Glasgow, Oslo.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Beautiful.
It looks better than I expected.
I love to see it a little bit like zoomed out. So it was like, oh, magic is happening. Magic is happening. I'm curious if we're gonna have like some color directions here, or everything's gonna be.
Did we run out of post-its?
I
Almost.
think so. Like somebody's getting more creative. Go wild, people. Go wild. Make those rings pretty.
So this tells me that everyone will be able to participate in the workshop. You're Miro experts, as I can see. Good.
Pretty. Let's see what.
Nice. That's pretty. Oh, I love the basketball in there as well.
Break dance. I see somebody writing. Okay.
I'll have fun reading this.
Yeah. Poland, bronze, silver, football, Riyadh.
I took to post it. Yes.
There are no limits.
Yeah,
You're
thank you for
guilty.
thank you for confessing.
Don't feel guilty.
All right.
We have plenty.
Good. I think we're good, right? With
It
this
looks
one.
Very
That looks
nice.
good.
Very, very nice.
I do need my.
This was the most easiest thing that you've done today. So enjoy it. Hard work is coming next.
So now it is the workshop. So we plan for the entire session to take 1 hour, and then we're already half hour into it. So that leaves us 20 minutes or so for the workshop. Hopefully we can finish it, but you will see. I think we're going to finish it. But this is going to tell you how easy it is to just turn any meeting that you have, like with stakeholders, where you want to discuss some problems, into a for you workshop in a structured way. It doesn't take much time. It doesn't require a lot of preparation. So for this, you need to bring everyone to me.
The challenge.
I should not forget my Miro facilitation skills. Yeah, so I want to give you a context. We're from all over the world, and we hope that you can relate to this business context that we're presenting here. So the context is you're going to be stakeholders of a hospital that's situated in a major tourist destination. And that's the main healthcare provider in the area, handling both locals and visitors. And then when the peak tourist season comes, that brings a huge influx of tourists and new patients. That's really disturbing hospital operations, puts a lot of pressure on the staff, so on and so forth. So then that's the context. And then the challenge that the hospital stakeholders, meaning you, are trying to solve is the following. Our hospital needs to manage the increased patient load more efficiently to avoid long wait times and maintain care quality during peak tourist season without compromising the care provided to our local and chronic patients. So I hope it's quite clear what is the problem that they're trying to assess and make a decision whether should we do something about it or are we happy with the status quo. You're going to be playing the role of these stakeholders from the hospitals. We listed here a few examples. It could be the chief medical officer, the hospital managers, the chief nursing officer, right? Is that a title?
Yes. Someone from human resources.
Someone from human resources, right? Someone who's handling patients. Like this could be some of the stakeholders. Of course, the list is not limited to these ones. And the decision they're trying to make in this for you workshop is, hey, do we need some special solutions? Should we invest in addressing this problem? So yes, or maybe no, we're just going to leave things as they are. And as we've done things until now, we're going to maybe continue going forward. So that's kind of the expected outcome of this workshop. So remember, you're going to be the stakeholders. Try to put yourself into those contexts. You're running the hospitals. You're having like lots of patients coming in. Maybe you've been a tourist and you've had a medical problem. Maybe you can empathize from that perspective as well. Good. So let's move to this. We're going to go through each of the 4 sections, 3 minutes each, and then we're going to try to assess whether one whether it's unworkable, unavoidable, urgent, or underserved. And we're going to start with unworkable. Remember, this is telling you how serious, how severe the problem is. Questions we're asking: are the current solutions not working? Why? Right? Like, what happens if we do nothing? An example could be, I don't know, our staff is going to be overburdened. They're going to burn out from the many patients that they come. What's the root cause of the problem? So this would be the things you want to write them in here. And then you can write both from the perspective of the hospital. Our staff is going to be overburdened, as I was saying, going into burnout, but you can also write from the perspective of potential patients. You can say, well, if we don't do anything, our current patients are not going to get the care they deserve because we have to all of a sudden handle 100 tourists if there is a major accident. And I already see you're doing it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna start the timer and invite.
Too late. Good.
Feel free to.
It's always good. I like the concrete things. If we do nothing, we risk staff burnout. So as concrete as you can is good. Local and chronic patients will suffer. Yes. Not knowing how many people to be served. Oh, wow. No capacity for emergencies. Absolutely.
Losing patients to other providers. Not knowing is a person is a local or a visitor. Indeed, because the challenge is to also cater for all the chronic patients.
It's working just slower. Yes. But then what happens, right? It's slower, but then someone needs urgent need. Their situation is serious, so it could have a grave consequence, right? Just because we're not moving quick enough.
Yeah, I like this. There's definitely a lot of thinking of it from both, the staff perspective, the patient perspective, the hospital's perspective as well.
Exactly, because each problem impacts multiple type of users. Like I'm going to call them users here, but it can be customers, personas, whatever. Oh wow! So, and we're like worried before the workshop if we have enough posts. If there are too many posts, there are not too many posts. It's like great job, everyone.
Wow, so many ideas.
Some more have appeared.
I love it.
You guys are Miro pros.
Good.
But everyone's brain is on fire here, just like Einstein.
It's your Einstein picture.
That inspired me.
Yeah, the hair's certainly on fire.
Good.
Wow.
Well, save something for. We still have 3 others to go.
Yeah, maybe we can.
I think we can move forward because I
can.
just
for the sake of speed. Thank you all. You've done more than amazing. I'm so impressed. Let's see how you do with unavoidable.
Unavoidable.
Next challenge.
So unavoidable, can we evade this problem or not? Remember, the question is, do we absolutely need to address this? Why can't we just ignore it? What makes us do something? Oh, wow.
Yeah, so what's unavoidable is that place is always going to attract tourists.
Tourists are always going to be there, yes.
Always going to be someone who's not paying attention, or maybe it's...
No, that's a great point. Like, why can't we avoid it? Hippocratic oath, you have to treat every patient. Yes. Excellent.
Patients have that risk. Patients are nervous and want to be seen, of course.
We owe it to the staff and the patients. And speaking of the staff, I like address to retain staff because you're going to lose staff if they're still overburdened.
Life-threatening mistakes, yeah. Especially if you're overwhelmed, stressed.
Tourism will grow not stop. That's a great point. But not only that they will come, there's going to be more coming.
Hospital reputation on the line.
So many good ideas.
so many things to think about actually, and making those type of decisions is not easy. So of course, when you have different stakeholders with different backgrounds, they all have a completely different perspective, and they're
Yes.
thinking of
It's quite powerful, isn't it, to see it all kind of captured in one space, and
yeah.
when everyone's contributing, you really see like how vast the problem can
Can
be
be,
in
yeah.
different angles.
Yeah,
Well, thank you all.
we are super impressed.
So let's do the next one.
Let's go next.
Urgent. I feel like I almost don't have to explain anything here, but like what makes this problem urgent, right? Like, is this our customer's top priority? And here again, like it could be urgent from both perspectives, both business, our hospital, right? Like we need to address it because, but can be also addressing an urgent customer problem. For example, a tourist, I don't know, having an accident during their trip, as you did like a couple of years ago in Croatia, and we had to rush her to the hospital. So
Are people able to post here on the?
here,
It might just not be coming through on my screen. Just want to make sure the post-its aren't locked.
it's locked. Okay, people are saying it's locked.
What is it though?
There might be.
Do we have multiple?
Miro team is saying yes. It's yes. Miro team is sorry, everyone. Like gives us a minute. Looks good. So good. Something else.
Do not panic. You can always create new sticky notes. Put them on top of the others. Yeah, like
Take ideas and add them on.
yeah,
that works for you.
See,
we know you know how to do it, so we might have locked too many layers.
I think the frame is selected, Bassam says.
Frame is locked. No, yet. I don't even know which one should I unlock.
Anyway, people are inputting here. Patient needs won't be met. I think we can give some extra.
There we go. That looks a bit better. Still a lot of good answers though.
Yeah,
they're still
fine.
good.
This fine. So this is my bad, guys, because I organize stuff and double lock everything.
That's okay, so long as we've all, had a chance to contribute, which it looks like people have.
Yeah, we have lots of them. I don't think we need the extra ones. I can see some white ones appearing, like we can just make them.
Yeah, we lose opportunity, lost forgotten medication. Oh yes. I had 0. Things happened.
Amazing how many ideas you can come up with.
Yeah.
Waiting room counter, yes.
Mm.
Some of the things are like can be in multiple places, right? Like in different, the same thing can be in different dimensions, but it only makes it more powerful. So that's good. All right, so I think we're good for the urgent.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't see anyone contributing anymore. So we have one more to go.
Underserved.
Underserved, right. So what makes this problem underserved? Let me bring everyone to me. We have like one of the example of what's underserved is maybe this is like the only major hospital in the area, but it could be a lot of other things. Like, what do you think? Why is this problem underserved with solutions? So I can see you can write on the post-its. That's great. Only one big hospital. of triage that doesn't run efficiently. Lack of medical care in the area, that's good, right? A lot of the resorts, maybe they only have, I don't know, they don't have doctors, or maybe just one doctor for too many tourists. Yes. Because we can. Language barriers. Yes, if you get tourists from, if you get a lot of tourists from a specific country, like for example, you get a lot of Germans in Croatia, like you would want to have doctors who speak Croatian, right? There are not many of them, so that makes it underserved. No, you want to have doctors who speak German, the other way around.
This is great. We've nearly filled it again.
All right. And this must be some world record in filling in so many post-its. So thank you so much. Good.
There is a good comment in the chat, John, just about using AI to gather the themes. I don't know if on this one, do we
Yes.
want to just do a very quick demo of that functionality of clustering? Because I'm sharing my screen, it might be easier for me to do it just on this one example.
Sure.
So as you can see, we have a lot of information here. If we highlight all the answers and you come up here, we have a cluster objects feature, and then the Miro AI will work its magic. You can decide what to cluster by, but I think for this it would be keyword. And then you can just see briefly it's preparing the results, and then it will come over to this side, and it's done a fairly good job to begin with of clustering some of the themes and the problems that have come out of that big brainstorm. So it really helps with the synthesis side of things. But yeah, there was a nice prompt in the chat to show you that. But I'll hand back to you now, John, to wrap up these sections.
Yes. Good. So what do I want to say? Like, thank you so much for your input here with all of this post-its. In a real setup, like what would happen is still we would ask our stakeholders to silently come up with ideas, just like you did. The clustering can happen with AI or in the room, but like after this initial input, they will also have a chance to present to each other and discuss each of these insights to get alignment, because this is what we want to get out of it. Unfortunately, we can't do that, but the AI is doing it for us. Good. So there's one thing left to be done in the workshop. Like once we've discussed all of these things, what we want to do, we want to evaluate each of these dimensions and see how unworkable, how urgent, underserved, or unavoidable they are. So I'm going to ask everyone, let me just bring you everyone to me. Let's evaluate the problem we've just discussed for all of these 4 dimensions. And as you can see, there's a poll on the screen. So let's go to the first dimension, unworkable. Take 1 minute maybe to quickly review the stickies, and then try to vote. Is it not at all unworkable, somewhat unworkable, completely unworkable, right? Like these are like the options we prepared today, but of course you can have a scale from 1 to 10 if you want, or whatever. Let's see the vote.
So here they are. You can see these coming in.
I can see it. There are like 17, 18 votes. Do we have 1 minute for this?
Less. 10 seconds, guys.
10 seconds. Another good feature you might be aware of is private mode, which is for post-it notes. But if you're running an activity like this, you could hide people's answers before they're revealed at the end.
I can't see, so I can't wait for this poll to end.
I started the poll, so John doesn't see. So I'm the one seeing what's going on.
Should we end the poll so you can see?
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Does that come
So
up?
they said somewhat unworkable, which I think it makes sense because the hospital is still working, is functioning good, and then completely unworkable. So overall, it's quite unworkable. Excellent. Let's move on to the next one. How unavoidable this problem is. So I'm just going to bring everyone to me.
And then you can start the poll.
I can start the poll. I can start the
So you're
poll
not so
now.
frustrated.
Oh, and I can see the answers?
Yeah.
Okay, good. How unavoidable this problem is, please vote. And where's the timer?
Make it really short.
So I know when to end it. But I can't see like the results. I can only see the numbers coming in, but I don't.
Maybe you can also like fill in one.
You can't vote, so I brought you to my screen. Like you should see this widget, and also Rory is showing it.
And poll.
And good. Did you end it?
Yes, completely unavoidable.
Completely unavoidable. So the good news is our stakeholders are aligned around the fact that this problem is completely unavoidable. So we need to do something about it. That's already a win. Good. The next one is how urgent it is for us to deal with this problem. Bringing everyone to me and starting the poll. Now, we still have 7 more minutes and I have a couple of more slides. 30 seconds for the voting.
Has the poll already been ended?
We're already on the
third one.
on the third one, Rory. Urgent.
Yes, I can see that, but I think I can't vote because I think the poll's already been.
No, I haven't.
No. I think so.
How?
But I didn't do it.
That's okay. I think let's go to the last one. This is the magic of a live workshop, testing new features, but that's the beauty of it, right?
I'm not going to start the poll, so
okay, the poll's been started. I can vote. So I'm going to say somewhat underserved, submit, and then people, if you're live on the board, you should be able to use the polling widget to vote. So it looks like we've come to some consensus there as well around.
So Eric here clarifies the situation. Everyone has the option end poll for all, so that's what's happened. Okay. Somebody must have pressed by mistake this. So yes, and then some other people can't vote. Good. This is good feedback for the product, right?
It is really good, and you're seeing completely like very new features and functionality just as of last month, so it's very helpful to us.
So good. Even like with this small glitch, I think we managed to vote. As I was saying, we would do this in a real workshop as well. It's just that before voting, there is a discussion, so we make sure that people understand all of the arguments and the insight and everything that was shared. So
thank you all for contributing and helping us like create this magical moment. I think it's amazing to see different perspectives all put together and with so much clarity on how people align and decide on which way to go. So thank you so much for that. And we do have a little bit of a conclusion at the end.
Yes. So what's next? What can you expect after a 4U workshop? Well, you're going to have, I think the major benefit of the workshop is the fact that you have aligned stakeholders. They're going to better understand what the problem or problems at hand are about, and they're going to have a better definition of them. Also, because you're exploring the problem through different perspectives, like we talked about patients, overburdened staff, tourists, visitors, right, with problems, you can identify your potential user personas and where do you want to start addressing the problem with your solutions. Do we do something for our staff? Do we do something something special for our visitors only? So it can give you this direction as well. And most importantly, you come up with a list of assumptions that you have around this problem space. Assumptions that obviously you will need to validate, which is the next step, right? After the workshop, you still need to do some more problem validation. Maybe you run experiments to validate the assumptions you made with your stakeholders, right? Maybe you decide, yes, we have some assumptions here, but we don't have enough information. There's still a lot of unknowns, so we're going to do some more research. And then by the end of this, you should end with a very clear problem statement that you can start working on, which is your next step, is your solution validation, which pretty much is start working on it. It's a roadmap for execution and implementation plan, something along those lines, depends on every organization. And with that said, thank you all for your participation. This has been the For You framework. I do hope you found this information helpful. And yeah, I'm not sure. Do we have time for one question? Do we have questions?
I like this question, maybe just one.
Yeah.
It's from Dale. He asked, like, we had a lot of ideas as a large group. When we facilitate, do we pick a topic from Unworkable and move through the 4 U's, or allow all ideas to move through?
In order to pick something from, like, in these dimensions, you're putting the reasons of why something is unworkable or urgent or something like this. So what I would say is bring forward all of the different ideas that you're trying to assess compared to each other, or like on which you're trying to make a decision. And then all of them, take them through the 4 U's. And in the end, do a scoring, just like we did with the voting. Maybe you're going to use some numbers, and then you can see how do they compare to each other after the scoring. And maybe then you want to focus on the most unworkable, on the most urgent. So that's how you make the decisions.
All right.
Good.
And I think, Rory, back to you.
Back to you, Rory.
Yes. Well,
Let me
thank
see.
you
Okay.
so much, John and Dana, for facilitating this fascinating session. I've certainly gained a lot from it. And everyone who's on the board, please go away with the templates and use with your clients. This has been the first of a series of webinars tailored for consultants. So please look out for future webinars that we'll be running. We've added a link to the template here, and also there's a link to the Miro Academy if you're interested in learning new ways to up your workshop skills in Miro. There's lots of great content there. But yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I hope you found it as valuable as I have. And yes, enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much, and especially for your answers. I think we're going to steal some ideas from there.
Bye-bye.